Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk, back again with you guys for another show, for another episode of our preview series where we look ahead to the next last game, get the thoughts of some of our members ahead of the match against Leeds. Before we do, though, a couple of things to shout out, which I haven't done over the last couple of days, is the links in the description go to a couple of interviews that I've done for 101. One is for our American listeners, and one of them, Zamir, I know is very near Philadelphia, is with Philadelphia Union's Matt Freeze, the 22-year-old goalkeeper. So make sure you check that out. And the second one, which was published today, is with the 16-year-old Hammarby Swedish wonder kid, Svedberg, who is really interesting kid coming through at that club, Williot Svedberg. So make sure you check those two out. But anyway, other than that, let's crack on with today's show. Hello, members. How are we doing today? Kian, are you well, mate? Are you good? I've muted you. That's my fault. That's all me. You can unmute yourself. That's all me. Professional that I am. Can you unmute yourself? Just click the little microphone button there. This is all my fault. Okay, while Kian sorts that out, Zamir, are you good? Can you unmute yourself as well? There we go.
I'm good, Tom.
I don't know what I've done. I've now imprisoned Kian in complete silence. I can't work out. There's a little microphone button above your name. It should say unmute. What? Go out and come back in. That might solve it. Pablo, good to have you on again, mate. Can you unmute yourself? Let's see.
Yeah, I've unmuted myself.
I don't know what he's struggling with. Oh, dearie me. I don't know what he's struggling with to unmute. Everyone can unmute, surely. We'll get Kian back in a second. I'm sure it'll be fine. We got Leeds coming up, which is obviously a game which will hopefully get a result in. And if not, all hell will likely break loose. Kian, I'm going to start with you because I can see that you're unmuted and you're free again to speak. Are you good, though? Are you well?
I'm all good, thank you. Yeah, all good now.
Good stuff. So talk me through your kind of feelings. Well, not specifically the lineups because we'll come on to those in a bit, but how are you feeling ahead of Leeds?
Nervous. Leeds are starting to play well again. Bamford is starting to play very well. And to be honest, I'm very, very nervous with Rafinha. I think he's a great, great player. And with Tierney out as well, I don't know, can Cedric put up with him on that side? It depends as well if Rodrigo plays. Rodrigo's another great player. But I think we have them if we attack. Don't do what we did last time, sit back. And that's why when you see my team later on, I've gone very attacking. I think we need to go at them because they definitely do not have the defense to hold what we potentially have.
I think that it's got the potential, as I think I saw someone in the chat box earlier on, Soundtrust is saying, to be a cricket score with two teams that can score goals at will and create plenty of defensive errors themselves. Leeds have obviously suffered some heavy defeats this season, specifically to quite a lot of the big teams in the Premier League, Liverpool and Manchester United coming to mind. Pablo, is this a good game to come off the back of two defeats against Aston Villa and Wolves, unfortunately? Is this a game in which you feel confident in which Arsenal can turn their form around?
To be honest with you, Tom, I'm a bit worried about this game because I don't know how Arteta's going to approach the game. I don't know whether he's going to sort of go into it thinking, right, we can win and then start momentum back up, which is what I believe he will. But according to what a lot of people are saying, this is like a dead game for Arsenal, which I don't agree with personally. But
a dead game?
Yeah, because a lot of people don't believe that we got any chance in the league and we should put all our eggs into the European League, which I don't agree with personally.
Why do you think they think that? Why? I mean, you look at the season and you look at the fact that, like, how Liverpool are doing, lost today at Leicester. Teams around us are losing. City and Spurs are playing each other. Liverpool and Everton playing each other. There's a lot of points up for grabs. Why do you think people are writing the league off so quick?
I think it's because we've been so disappointing. Or I'll say disappointing. Me personally, I actually see progress. People probably think I'm crazy on the chat.
Well, I saw a table the other day saying that we're 2 points better off compared to games we've played last season comparatively. Yeah,
and it's been a funny old season where everybody's knocking points off everyone. No one can seem to get a consistent run together. Apart from City, of course. So I think is more down to our league position, where we are right now, and the fact that we have got teams below us that have got games in hand, which can push us even further down. I think the league position is sort of clouding people's judgment as to how this season has really been for us.
I think it's a fair assessment. I think that there has been obviously a horrible period of games, and in that horrible period of games, Thomas Partey was unavailable to us, Zamir, and he is going to be unavailable to us at the weekend, which is a big hit. It's a big loss for us, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a big loss. I mean, we don't have anyone that can break the lines now or beat the press from defense and move it up to the attacking third, and now I think we're going to have to rely ever more so on the likes of Emil Smith-Rowe and even Odegaard if he's into the squad to start supplying the final third. Otherwise, we're really going to struggle again to put any attack together. Forget about scoring.
Yeah, it's going to rely on a lot of creativity being made from deep, from players like possibly Erdogan, maybe even the likes of Ceballos and Elneny that come in replace. And we're going to look at your lineups now to get kind of a thought around what we've gone for. I believe Kian is up first. He is indeed. Now, you've gone very attacking, it's fair to say, hugely attacking. And my instant reaction to your lineup, Kian, is, oh my God, Granit Xhaka's about to have an absolute implosion. So convince me why this is the right choice.
Because you can see it. Like when I remember watching Leeds against Man United, they went full out. I'm pretty sure they played Van de Beek and they both played Bruno Fernandes, and they scored so much goals, and Leeds actually could not put up with it. I think that as well, with Lacazette definitely needs a rest, so that's why I put Oba up top. And I just think that with the Europa League game on Thursday, we need to start getting these guys firing. Oba needs to start scoring. Odegaard needs to start playing. He came here to play. He didn't want to sit in the bench in Real Madrid. We need to start playing him. Same with Emil Smith-Rowe. He's playing very well. But like I hear people saying Saka playing left back. We're missing something when he is in defense. We need him up top. Pepe is playing the best we've seen him play, but we know that it's only the beginning. We need him to start firing a bit more. David Luiz is out still, but Gabriel, I think it's give or take whether it be Gabriel or Pablo Mari. And again, Tierney's out, so that's why I have Cedric in. I was going to put Chambers in, but I thought the chat box would go against me completely. But I do think that we do need to start pushing at them. I don't want to see us tomorrow sit back and just watch them attack us again for a full 90 minutes. I want to see us go because we got a lucky escape the last game. We really did. 0-0. Leno saved us so much in that game. And I want to see what Odegaard and Smith-Rowe are like together, because I don't know about Ceballos. I think this isn't the game for him. I think we need to have those three boys, Odegaard, Xhaka, Smith-Rowe, with Partey out, just see what it's like, see what they can do together.
I've just seen a scoreline saying that Gillingham have beaten Charlton in the last few minutes of the game. The missus is not going to be happy. Oh, that's my afternoon ruined. That's my local team beating the other half's team. So there you go. Anyway, let's move on to the next lineup. It's interesting you said, Kian, about Saka playing at left back, because you may be surprised by the next three selections, starting off with Zamir's. Saka is at left back for you, and you've gone for Aubameyang on the right hand side with Pepe on the left. Emil Smith-Rowe starts again, and you've gone for Elneny next to Xhaka. Talk me through this lineup, Samir.
Yeah, I think looking at the last game, we had Xhaka and Ceballos in midfield, and Leeds were having all kinds of fun with them, just getting around them pretty easily. So I think Elneny has to come in. He'll give us some of that solidity and athleticism to deal with some of those midfielders. And then, as Kian mentioned earlier, Rafinha is on fire. So I don't think Cedric will cope with Rafinha, so I've moved Saka to left back, and then we haven't seen Alba play on the right, I don't think very many times with us, maybe once, but he's played there before with Dortmund, and it's not like it's a position that's unfamiliar to him. And I feel like with this lineup, with Cedric, he can feed balls to Oba, and so can ESR. And I think it's a really attacking and fluid front four that can move around. That I think will give Leeds a lot of problems. I think also in the last game, Aubameyang led the line as was rather ineffective. So I think on the wing is probably going to be a better position for him.
Let's go to Pablo's lineup then. The only changes in here is you've actually chosen to go over Emil Smith-Rowe and Ødegaard like Kian did. However, you've moved Ødegaard out into a wide position. Do you want to explain that choice?
So they could change round between themselves during the game. I mean, that's the way Arsenal used to play previously anyway. It wasn't kind of set positions. You always see our attacking players moving around. I personally would think Ødegaard on the right because I've seen him play there last season as well, and he's pretty good. He's got pace. And I think he'll offer something different. And by having him on the team now, I think we can afford to drop Saka to the left back. I know Kim won't agree with me, but yeah, I think we can afford to drop him there on the left back because, as Amir said, Rafinha playing, Cedric, very good player in this position. I think he will struggle to cope with Rafinha.
I made only one change, I think, from Pablo's, and that's actually putting Aubameyang up top over Lacazette. I feel like, and this is in part listening to the Arscast this morning from Andrew and Simon Collins and Tim Stillman as well, about Aubameyang and what we do with him moving forwards. And I agree with Zamir that he was practically ineffective against Aston Villa, and he came on against Wolves and didn't offer anything. But the thing is, he came on in both of those games when we were losing and had a man down or two men down in the Wolves game. And I feel like if you've got enough players around Aubameyang from the start of the game and when it's at 0-0 and you've got the impetus on your side to hit them on the counter and the game's still more open, I feel like Aubameyang can be effective. I also look at him as a player that we've invested in with a contract and we've got him for the next 2 seasons after this at minimum. Lacazette's got 1 year left on his deal. If it was up to me, I'd be moving on Lacazette in the summer and trying to get as much money for him as possible and then bringing in another striker much younger to be our forward going forwards. And that does mean using Aubameyang. And I think that it's not a case of I think Lacazette's been poor, but he didn't have a single shot against Aston Villa, especially. He definitely didn't have one on target. I'm not sure if he didn't have a single shot during the entire game, but he was pretty kind of on the periphery. And I know that Aubameyang can feel like that as well, but with the creation down the left-hand side with Pepe and Saka overloading the left flank and Ødegaard and Emil Smith-Rowe in that team as well, I feel like we would create chances that Aubameyang would feed off in that team. I've also gone with Ceballos, which was the same as you, Pablo. But Zamir, it's interesting you chose El Neni. Why El Neni over Ceballos?
Yeah, I mean, like I mentioned, if you look at the last game we played Leeds, Ceballos just couldn't cope with the physicality of Leeds. They were running right through our midfield. It's like there was no resistance. I think if I look at the stats from the last game, they had 25 shots. I mean, that's unbelievable. And so I feel like we do need some protection. And Ceballos, for me, is someone who would be an option if the game is still tied or if we're down a goal. Like you could bring Ceballos on to try and open things up. But I think you need to, in order to give Saka and Cedric freedom to attack with Oba and Pepe, you need El Neni instead of Ceballos to protect the likes of Gabriel and Holding.
Now, Pablo, Dan in the chat asks an interesting question because he says, I've never heard him actually speak like this, but he types like it. Nah, serious. Why is David Luiz out? He's back from suspension, isn't he? Would you put David Luiz back in based upon the form he had prior to the red card?
No, not really. I don't have an issue with David Luiz most of the time. The problem with him is he's got a mistake on him. If you don't know when he's going to come, he can come out of the blue. He's got a mistake in him and normally ends up costing us games. I think he's done okay this season. He has been good. And perhaps you can have the argument of putting him on the team with Thursday in mind because we're going to Benfica. Well, not to Benfica, but we're playing Benfica. So maybe that could be an option, putting him on a team to rest Holding because Holding has played a hell of a lot of games. But I want to win this game. I want us to go into Benfica's game with momentum. And I think holding has been a vital part of our defence. I mean, we've got, the third best defensive league record in the league. And he's been involved in that every step of the way. So I don't see why he should be the one moved out.
Pablo, I think you can argue, Pablo, that David Luiz has already made his mistake, so it's due for another 4 or 5 games, good games coming up.
True, yeah, we could. We've recharged the David Luiz meter. That's where it's gone.
I'm worried about Xhaka, and I'm worried that he's there now. I'm expecting one of the next couple of games for Xhaka to start being impatient and have a mistake. I mean, call it a gut feeling. He's had a good run, but you've got to think he's exhausted by now, and maybe a mental mistake is coming up. But I think he's the only player that worries me.
The only player that worries you? Oh,
yeah, I think Pepe is on fire. I think he's had a good run of form. I think he also knows that he owes us a performance after getting sent off against Leeds. I think that pressure is on him. Saka, I think, is fine. I think the back 4 or 5 are fine. I think El Neni will be okay as well. Sideways passing, basics, sit back and protect the back 4. But Xhaka, I'm concerned about. He's due for one of those mistakes, and I hope he doesn't. I hope he has a good game. I hope he keeps it solid and tight and continues to feed the front 4. And but he does worry me. I don't know, Dan in the chat mentioned Bellerin, but Dan, I don't have Bellerin in my lineup.
But someone does, and that someone is Kian.
That someone will always have him in my lineup.
So, I mean, to be fair, now you've seen mine and Pablo and Zamir's lineups, which all chose Saka at left back. Does that change your mind in any way? Or are you still picking Cedric and putting Saka in the front line?
No, I'm still putting Cedric there on the left hand side. I just feel, I don't know, since Saka's played on the right hand side, he's just been so good, and I can't see, like, when I saw somebody putting a yo-yo put in the chat box, saying that he played left wing back. He didn't play in the back 4. I think Saka in a back 4 is okay, but I'm still a bit worried about his defensive. Like, he's an attacker. He shouldn't have to play defensively. So that's why I'm saying no to that. Okay, he's got a left foot and he's well able to whip it in, but what game? Southampton game, no one said anything about Cedric. He was well able to do it. So apart from his one mistake in Aston Villa, I'm going to stick with him on the left-hand side.
Well, Daniel says Bellerin could score 5 own goals and get sent off, and Kieran will still put him in his team for the next game. You got to admire the man's persistency.
No, well, to be fair, I held my hands up and said it, that if Tierney's fit, Cedric's playing on the right hand side. But that's because based on these last few games. But again, I just don't get the hate. Like, I get it. Like, I get that Bellerin is having some bad times, but just back him. He is being scapegoated, so that's why I'm sticking up for him in a way. I'm not doing it. I'm literally doing it in a jokey way just to build the fan base to hate him less. But if you still hate him, I'm just gonna still follow him. I'm an Arsenal fan at the end of the day.
Fair enough, mate. I think that obviously there's a difference between what people are thinking with the criticisms, but there are certainly an element of scapegoating around players, and Bellerin does fall into that category along with the likes of Xhaka and David Luiz, I suppose, sometimes, but more so Bellerin especially, who has been, I still believe, one of our better right-backs, of course, over the last kind of decade or so, and the potential that he had maybe has not been realised. And in the summer, when it comes down to it, I think it's a position that could be looked upon as an area of possible upgrade. I mean, if anyone was offered an upgrade in any position, they would take it, of course, but I look at it as a possible position that we will maybe target. And with him, with his ambitions maybe to do something else and have a different challenge at be it Barca or PSG or whatever, we may not even have a choice in that. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in the summer, of course. Now, we have to get to score predictions, which is tricky. So chat box, tell me in there what you're thinking ahead of the game against Leeds. What scoreline are you going to go for? Zamir, I'm going to start with you, mate. What is your scoreline prediction for the game?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a 2-2 draw, unfortunately.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Pablo? Find that button. Go on, sir.
There you go. Found the button. Yeah, I'm going to go 3-2 Arsenal. It's going to be a high-scoring game, I reckon. So 3-2 Arsenal.
Kian?
I'm looking forward to seeing Pepe and Alioski against each other. I'm going to go 3-2.
I really hope that was the interview that Patrick Bamford did was shown to Pepe, and I hope that he takes it
hope he's ready.
in the right way. Yeah, because he's in good form. He's not on the same side as him, though, to be fair. Well, imagine if he's playing on the left-hand side, he would be on the opposite flank. But you never know. Alioski's quite versatile. They may move him onto that side just to put them up against each other.
Annoy him, yeah.
Yeah, interesting stuff. Let's see what the chat box is saying. Greg says 2-1 to the Arsenal. Owen is going for a dirty 3-2 win, whatever that is. Owen will be on the podcast tomorrow evening at 8:30, so make sure you tune in. There will still be a Raw reaction show straight after the game as well. Daniel Roberts says 6-0 Arsenal with Aubameyang to score all 6. Yesterday night was a sign. Of course, Dan did win our football prizes, our sponsor for the last month, the prize. So fair play to Dan, won a signed Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang montage. Now, I'm hoping that the partnership with Football Prize is going to extend, but until it does, I will hold fire. But the prize for this week is a good one, is all I'm going to say right now. Noah Wheeler says 4-2 to the Arsenal. Dell says 3-1 Arsenal. Amesy, who is a new listener to us and a listener of Highbury Squad, and thank you, Amesy, for tuning in. Some very nice comments you leave on the videos. Wilson, another long-time listener, says, my prediction is Arsenal 2, Leeds 1. Corey Burnside says 2-0 to the Arsenal. Ansgar says 2-0 early and a very late goal. It's going to be a grind of a win. And Toby, who was supposed to be on today's show, but he fell asleep and overslept and instead couldn't make it. So welcome to the world again, Toby, and we're sure to see you on a future show. Andrew Yanders says 3-1 Leeds. He is not feeling the Arsenal positivity today, but he could be a Leeds fan, so you never know. I've not seen Andrew in the chat, I don't think. Matthew De Souza says 2-2 and a VAR controversy. It's almost guaranteed at this point, Matt, that is going to happen, but we will wait and see. I'm going to go personally for a 3-1 win with Emile Smith-Rowe to get a hat-trick because he's my fantasy team this week. That'd be great. But more seriously, probably Aubameyang getting on the score sheet, fingers crossed, if he gets a start. I have a weird feeling that he might. We will wait and see what happens. But thank you to my guests this afternoon. Thank you, Zamir. Much appreciate your time, mate.
Yeah, thanks for having us on.
No problem. Do you want to tell people where they can find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at NYCGooner34.
There you go. You will have to request to follow him because he's a very private person. Pablo, thank you very much, mate. Do you want to tell people where they can find you?
Yeah, thanks, guys. Thanks for having us again, Tom. Yeah, you can find me at Pablo Mira, not Murray, because I haven't got any followers since I started doing this. I reckon people getting the old typo thing wrong here. But yeah, at Pablo Mira 11 on Twitter.
There you go. Go give Pablo. I mean, he deserves more. He has a solitary 15 followers, and I'm one of them. So go give Pablo a follow on social media. Kian, our resident new signed-up actor. Congratulations again, mate, on the signing up of the agency. Really, really good stuff. But thank you, and tell people where they can find you and maybe what future shows they'll see you on the telly box.
Cheers. Thanks very much. Yeah, I know it's a good start. So hopefully I'll be on BBC or Netflix soon. So I'll be supporting Arsenal fans on there. Yeah, get me on Twitter at Reardon_Kean. And again, as you all know, myself and Tom on your feed, we'll all be posting videos on there. So hope to see you all soon. Thank you for having me on.
100%. You can find us at the Green Talk TV and at Tom Canton Media. You can find the interviews and articles at 101 Great Goals. We will see you straight after the game, but you'll see me tonight at 8 o'clock with John for the first of our monthly Let's Talk Arsenal podcast, where we talk a little bit more about the social side of things. And of course, you'll join us in the chat box to talk about that. Should be fun. John and me always get a little bit political, so we'll see how things go. But it should be fun. And we'll see you again very, very soon. And as always, up the Arsenal.